Toby, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too.
Tell me, who is Toby Gad?
Toby Gad is this little kid who grew up in a little farm village somewhere in Germany near a river, and with parents that made jazz music, Dixieland jazz, and I always dreamt of making music too.
It's beautiful. What a beautiful place to grow up. Do you think that whole surroundings stimulated the creativity you've clearly got?
I was always on the bicycle, loved the bicycle and
Me
the
too.
forest, and music. Yes, I love nature very much.
So you were always destined to go into music, and I know you're a musician, you're a songwriter, singer yourself.
Not a singer, not a singer.
Not a singer.
No,
But
in my dreams I am.
Interesting. So you lived that through the songwriting. I mean, my point is you're just consumed by music, but you chose your lane very much as the songwriting side.
I got to work with talent that sings so well that I could never say I'm a singer.
Fair play. I hear you. But being able to write songs that you then have been able to work with the most incredible amount of people, household names. When did that start to become a reality? So the boy that was probably dreaming and writing and so on and playing music.
Yes.
To then actually making a career out of it. When did that become a reality?
Age 18, we had the chance to land 3 songs on the Milli Vanilli album, which was a notorious album because they didn't sing and had to return the Grammy, but we didn't know that at the time. We were just happy to have our songs on an album that was a big #1 record. And at that time we realized, wow, you can make money with music and you can write something and then you hear it on the radio everywhere in the world. That experience alone was so incredible.
So that was an early milestone that allowed you to then know that I can do more of this. I can flourish.
That's addicting.
Yes.
Like, I want more of this. Yes.
Yeah. And making money out of songwriting. Mm-hmm. Often it's the artists themselves. It seems like you've made a really good career out of songwriting. Is that realistic for anyone aspirational and watching you, wanting to be like you? Can you make a really good living out of writing songs?
These are very different times now than they were when I started out. And a lot has changed since. I do believe if you write great songs and these songs resonate with an audience, yes, you can make money with it. And yeah, you can live well from it.
When you say changing times, would you say for the better or for the worse in context of now what AI is coming into it?
For the better of the artist, for the better of the individual, because we all have all the tools we want to release songs and to gather our own community and audience. And
so you have more control.
Yes, you have all the control in the world. And back in the day, the record labels were the curators. They were between you and the fans.
I get that. Whereas now, social media and personal brand and being able to actually put yourself out there, you can then, almost like direct-to-consumer marketing, if you like, you can then bring that back.
Yes.
I mentioned AI there. Where does AI fit in with your skill set, where you create something now in the capacity that you do, and then you could almost refine it, make it better?
Yeah, I had a conversation with a friend about it yesterday in length and came to the conclusion that what I welcome is authentic AI. And I define authentic AI as the AI that does not try to look like us, does not try to do what we do, does not try to compete with us or outdo us, but AI that helps us lead a better life, smarter computers, simplify life, make us happier. That's the AI I like. It needs to be authentic. The moment it tries to look like us, the moment it tries to emulate us, it's not authentic. It shouldn't walk. It shouldn't have a face that we have. That's the AI I reject.
I like that. And professionally using it, is there now AI tools? Someone looking at you, again, aspiring to want to be able to write songs. Is there software now, if you like, AI that you can plug in and is benefiting in the way you want it to?
I've played with some of that, and it's more for the consumer. Like anyone can write a song now and type in a prompt and you get a song. And those songs are going to be better and better. And very soon these are going to be songs that AI knows what you love, what you react, because it knows all your data, it knows everything about you. So it knows you react to this melody, to this lyric, to this transition, and it writes you songs that are perfect. They will be perfect in a couple of years. And we will, I don't know if we'll compete with it, but what gets more and more important these days is a direct human connection to your community, one-on-one, seeing people, talking to people, going to a concert where your artist sings to you, small concerts where it's like a living room concert and you're one-on-one. That's something AI will never do. And that's getting very important. I think back in the day it was the glossy that we liked, the perfect, Now people have an aversion to perfection because we think it's AI, and we look for the human, for the imperfect, for the raw. Give me the real.
An interesting question for you. So you probably can spot a song that's very much heavily, right now, with AI at the stage it's at, you can spot it's being used.
I cannot.
Oh, can you not?
No.
It's that sophisticated?
It's very good already. And in a few years, it's going to be incredible.
Okay.
And everyone in their phone is going to say, write me a song today about this, and it's going to be incredible, and you're going to love it. Maybe your entire playlist will be something that AI has written for you.
Wow. I was wondering whether it was still at that stage where you can go, that's AI, but the consumer, us, can't tell apart. And then I was wondering when that would catch up, and you've already highlighted. So
no,
where
the
does that
consumer
lead?
will use that to make their own songs that are tailor-made, and maybe movies one day too. I don't think we're there yet.
So where does that leave the next generation of Toby Gads coming through that want to be a songwriter, but actually has that creativity been removed because of it?
I think it will tilt it more towards the raw, the authentic, the real emotions, issues that matter on a human scale. As far as the generic entertainment, AI can totally replace that. That's easy. But the real suffering, the real human experience, we will look for that from people. We don't want computers that look like people to fool us into believing
emotions, right?
Yes,
which is
real
what
emotions.
we had that whole conversation as we sit down, and you have your own podcast, which we're talking about, and having that eye contact, having the body language.
Yes.
That's what comes through in music, right? It's
we have so many more senses. Yeah. And those senses, they all want to be stimulated. Some senses we're not even aware of. If there are people in a room, we feel each other on so many levels.
With no words.
Yes, we look at each other. Our eyes talk. All of that isn't there with AI. Will never be, probably.
That's comforting to know.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something, I've always loved music. I've brought up listening to music forever, and I'm 47, so my interest in music is sort of multifaceted, but it is emotive. Mm-hmm. Whatever I'm listening to, it's making you feel a certain way.
All about the feeling.
Yes.
It's probably nothing but a feeling. You could have an orchestra of 100 people put $10 million into this record. If you don't feel anything, it's worthless.
Yeah.
On the flip side, if someone walks down the street and sings a song, it could make you cry, and it's valuable, and you want to hear it again, and it brings you back to your childhood, and you want to share it.
Yes.
Virality.
Yes. Which comes into storytelling as well, actually,
yes.
that emotive to then, how many people have got stories about songs you've written? You've got stories about songs you've listened to at certain times.
That's where it gets even more interesting, because a song like Big Girls Don't Cry is a very authentic moment of Fergie's life when she just came out of a rehabilitation clinic and needed to find clarity in her life and broke up with someone she loved, a long-distance boyfriend. And when we wrote the song, we were in tears, and it was just such an intense moment, and I feel the song gives people that feeling. But now I re-recorded 16 of my greatest songs with 17 new artists, and a lot of these artists, I realized these are people who grew up with listening to these songs but have their own journey and their own emotions and their own moments of when they heard Big Girls Don't Cry and when it meant something to them. And so this journey now connects with a new journey and comes full circle, and I love it.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I can tell you're glowing with passion for that. Using that example with Fergie, that's a really personal song to her, and you're writing it with her. Mm-hmm. So that's her lived experience. That's her outpouring of emotion.
I'm the therapist. She's the
Interesting. Yeah, that's what I said. So it's almost like a carefully managed relationship where you want the song to be successful.
Yes.
But at the same time, she might be trying to put in things that matter or mean something to her, but they don't quite work. How does that come together? How much guidance is there from you? It's a skill, right? Someone's trying to outpour, but you're trying to manage.
It's like therapy. I wrote a song recently with James Arthur, and it was just, we were both bawling. It was so brutal.
So you are fully immersed.
Fully immersed,
present.
yes. Yeah. I've had my own traumas, and sometimes those intersect. And
And how long could that take? So James Arthur, was that a week? Was that a month? And were you walking and talking in the woods? You know what I mean? Where's the creativity flowing from? You were in a studio like this, and you're just kind of scribbling things down and so on. What's the process?
Well, he came in the studio, and I asked how he grew up, and he said at some point child services came and took him, and his mom said, yeah, they're taking you now. And he grew up in foster care, and I thought, wow, this is unbelievable. My mom left when I was 7 years old, And as a kid, as a boy, you want a mom to cuddle, to hold you, to just give you safety and warmth. And if that's missing, it's traumatic. I guess until I was 30 years old, that affected me very much. My girlfriends were always a lot older than me. I was looking for that in a relationship then.
The mothering side
to
of
compensate,
things.
yes. Yeah. So we could totally relate on that.
You mentioned therapy there.
Mm-hmm.
So that connection you can have with so many of these people that are super creative as well. That's probably almost been good for your mental health, if you like.
Oh, yeah.
And
Every
song
friends
I
write,
life.
I have a free therapy session too.
They're paying you ultimately, sort of thing, to
I
actually
feel like fully cured.
Wow.
At this point. I don't know.
No, I get it. But
Yeah.
but it's more than just songwriting, is what I'm saying.
It's very intimate, intense, just all guardrails off, and those make the best songs when you're just 100% real.
Where are you most creative? So I used that example of the studio or walking, talking, but if you are wanting to write your own song, and let's just say you've got to write it by the end of April, we're the beginning of April now.
Yeah, it's never worked for me. It's always the moment I'm with a new artist, and sometimes I prepare for these moments, but sometimes it's something you can't prepare for, and a person walks in and you are starstruck because they are John Legend or somebody who's incredible, and then we just start talking, and somehow there's this energy and this electricity and this wow, and something happens. A song comes just about. There's something we talk about that feels urgent. It feels like the idea of the moment. You know, when you hear a song and the next day you remember something from that song, that takeaway, this is what I want to find before I start writing a song. So in conversations, I look for that. And once it's there, then I get to the piano, I improvise a little, maybe hum some stupid melodies, and then the artist might improvise. And suddenly a chorus comes about. And then once we have a chorus we love, we add the verses, and here it is.
My brain is spinning with the amount of people I know you've worked with. And I've listened and watched quite a lot of stuff before we sit down today. So I heard you say that, for example, working with Madonna, she wasn't particularly nice to you. And now I'm sitting with you, I can imagine that connection's lost, no matter how starstruck you might be from a name like that.
Madonna was very nice to me, but the first week she was very intimidating. The first writing camp, she didn't show up. Second writing camp, she did show up, and we had some ideas. And before she comes in the room, the assistants light the candles and make sure the bathroom is off limits for you now. And then she comes in, and it's this royal moment, and everyone's nervous because she's a legend. I mean, she's
100%.
been on top of the world for decades. I have so much respect for her. So yeah, luckily we had an idea she liked, and then maybe we finished the song. The next day, finished another song. Third day, it came to recording her vocal, and that's where it got really difficult because, I mean, she's one of the best performers in the world, but for the vocals, I thought maybe I could get a better vocal out of her, and I pushed her a little bit. There was a rumor. That's
through your passion though, right? That goes back to wanting it to be the best it can be.
There was a rumor going around that if you say something wrong to Madonna, then she will go to the bathroom and her assistant will hand you the ticket and say you got 5 minutes to leave and clear the room, and when she comes back, she does not want to see you anymore. So I was at the mixing desk, she was in the vocal booth, and I was recording her, and she's like, sing it again, like I usually do, and now put some emotion into it. Sing it again to someone you love. You can express yourself with this. She was like, Toby, I'm not singing this again. And intuitively, I was like, Madonna, you're going to sing this again. And then there was silence in the room. And then she started laughing. And we started bonding over it. And I ended up spending 5 weeks with her. And she was like, wow, this guy really cares about finishing songs the right way and getting the best out of me. And that changed everything. From that point on, it was like family, and we're just working hard.
I love that.
She's a hard worker. She'd
have known you were coming from a place of passion. So she's where people have probably been asked to leave, that it's not in her best interest. You were actually trying to push her to make the best record. Have you ever had a scenario where you've written a song and you are so excited about it, so pleased with what you've done, and it hasn't actually gone that well?
So many times.
Yeah.
I mean, for each of these, 500 songs that have been released and maybe 20 that I'm known for, there's thousands of songs I've written. And a lot of them I love, and a lot of them I'm attached to. And a lot of them have famous singers attached. So that's one of the reasons also why I started this project, Piano Diaries. And we started Piano Diaries with re-recording my greatest hits, 16 of my songs that I'm known for, with 17 young new singers. But moving forward, I'm going to release original songs with Piano Diaries. And one of them is going to be with Donna Summer, a song I wrote before she died with her. That's very dear to me. And it's going to be a new platform for me to release songs that are meaningful to me with just piano, vocal, and orchestration.
That's cool. And with John Legend, All of Me,
yes.
Did you know that was something special?
No.
Interesting. That's what I was like. So there's songs you've written that you thought would go really well, and then they haven't. And then there's, dare I say, not All of Me, but there's songs that you just didn't expect them to. So actually, there's an element of, not lottery, but you put the best you can into the song you're doing at the time with the artist.
Yeah, and If I Were a Boy, I had the feeling while writing that this was going to be a big, big song. On Big Girls Don't Cry, I didn't know. It felt good. It felt urgent, and it felt really emotional, like it would make you cry if you really listened to it.
Yeah.
All of Me, we were just pouring our hearts out. John came in the room and said, I want to write a song for Chrissy. I love her very much. And he went to the piano and said, I already have something. I have All of Me loves all of you. And that's all I have. I don't know what else to do. And then I sat at the piano and said, maybe I thought of my wife, who I love very much, and I thought of her curves, her edges, her imperfections. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. And then he's like, great, let me get back to the piano. And he continued his ideas and went back and forth. And very quickly we had written this song. There was one of those moments where it just flows.
That's brilliant. Have you ever had a scenario where you've either been approached by someone or you've wanted to work with someone, and then for whatever reason, you talk about that connection, I can tell you are that is so important to you, and it's just not been there. You've almost had to agree to disagree or just not chosen to work together. Yeah?
There's been many, many of those. There was a time when I was the #3 songwriter in the world, according to Billboard. And
I saw that.
All the record companies sent me their new signings, and also celebrities. And I mean, there was a moment when Jamie Foxx said, I want to write with you on that day. And that was a day I had a John Legend session. And I had to say no to Jamie Foxx. I said, can we do it next week? And no.
No.
I had a week with Adele in the book once. That week got moved. It got moved. Eventually, it got forgotten.
Interesting. Is there someone you would have loved to have worked with?
Coldplay. I would love to work with Chris Martin. I mean, such a fan of his music. It's so good.
Yeah. Do you
Consistently,
know them?
No, it's consistently great.
How do you look after yourself kind of physically and mentally? So a lot of what you write songs about are emotive and about, sort of showing those emotions. Mm-hmm. What does Toby do to kind of keep both mentally and physically fit?
I surf. I love the Pacific Ocean. I catch waves on a stand-up paddleboard, like Laird Hamilton does.
Brilliant.
He's such
I
a
used to love
genius.
surfing, by the way. I
Oh,
just
you
don't have
do?
any.
We
I
should go
love
surfing together.
Yeah.
Recently, I learned kite surfing, which is so amazing. You can do it all around England.
Yeah.
You know, when you have the kite up there with the wind and you're racing over the water, and sometimes you can jump. It's just endless goosebumps. It's such a great feeling. And then you're buzzing for days because, or catching a wave. It's so unproductive, but it's so fulfilling.
It's a serious workout. I used to do a lot of windsurfing.
Yes.
And
too.
surfing. So
Yeah.
I mean, that was a proper workout, and that's also good for your mental fitness. So
Probably,
you need clarity. You need to be fully present to be creative. So do you ever have a scenario where you're kite surfing? I get this when I'm swimming sometimes, and I get an idea. I get something that I couldn't work out in the office,
Often,
if you like.
Yes,
and then
that's
it comes
a great
to me,
place, yeah.
But I can't write it down.
Yeah.
I can't. Do you ever
just
have that? Where you
keep
get a
singing
line or something, you're like, and then you got to remember it.
Yes.
I find that, and I forget about it half the time by the time I'm back. But yeah, I was just trying to get where you get your inspiration.
Paul McCartney said when he was writing with John Lennon in the Beatles era, they couldn't record their ideas. They didn't have dictaphones, so they had to write something that they would still remember the next day, which really challenged them to write something that is so memorable and so urgent. And maybe that's why their songs are so good and still so incredible today.
Yes. A key thing that I thought was really sort of relevant to this conversation is you have stayed relevant you've got songs that date years, and then you're still doing stuff right now, and you're doing the podcast. You're talking about Jessie J last week, and I think filmed 7 podcasts in the last week.
Yes.
Where's all this
More.
energy coming from? And how are you staying relevant? Because music has changed.
No, I took a few years off. There was the year 2015. I was 5 weeks in the studio with Madonna. I was flying first class to London to finish Leona Lewis's entire album. And All of Me was #1. And I looked at my calendar and it was full with sessions, session after session after session. And I thought, I had climbed the Mount Everest of the music world 3 times now. And it, like with Big Girls Don't Cry and If I Were a Boy and All of Me. And why am I still doing this? What am I chasing? And it's those crossroads where someone like Dr. Luke then got a $100 million deal, and here's your massive label, here's your publishing company, now employ hundreds of people and sign everybody there's to sign. Suddenly you're a CEO, you're someone who doesn't make music anymore. And I was thinking...
Get caught up in the business side of things,
I was thinking,
right?
Who am I? What am I doing? And I wanted to be this kid again on the bicycle, just being free, carefree. Learning how to surf was a big one for me. And told the world I'm not writing songs anymore. That was very healthy. And took care of my 2 daughters and my wife more, and just became a human being again. That was really important.
And when did you feel you were ready to come back in?
Then I was a judge on German Idol, and
Yeah.
Idol is still a big deal in Germany. And I loved it, I was celebrated. And I found that a lot of the contestants sang my old songs with passion and said, oh, I grew up with this song, I'm so happy, I can sing it for you now. Wanted to know the stories behind the songs. And that was the catalyst for why we started Piano Diaries and passing the torch now to the new generation of singers with my old songs. It feels great. And in the process, I've become an artist and I'm performing those songs and telling the stories. It's so much fun.
Absolutely. And you must have a huge bank of people that want to film with you and that you want to film with. So that's kind of like a legacy thing for you. You can do it forever, right?
I love that. It's so gratifying. Someone like Louisa Johnson coming on stage with me and performing, and a lot of amazing artists who are on this album that are just released now, Piano Diaries.
So who have you got coming up, and who would you really love to have on your podcast?
On my podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, there are so many. It's a whole list.
I bet.
I mean, there's a lot of people I know, like Dave Grohl, I've known for a long time, because our kids went to the same school, but I'm not asking him until maybe in half a year I will ask him.
Why? Why are you delaying?
It's still building the podcast. We're 4 months in. We're now at, 20 million impressions. It's starting to do really well, but for him or for Kiss, I know the people, or some of these really big legends, maybe in half a year I will approach them.
Fair play.
I'm
so
so excited.
I can tell you're
about
enjoying it.
I can't wait. And I'm learning as we go, and I'm getting better with interviewing and letting people finish their sentences.
You're very relaxing to talk with. I think like you bringing in that surfing and that element, you're very comfortable with who you are, what you've done and what you want to do, which is
you are too. I think that comes with
I agree.
age.
No, I think that's why. Yes, it does come.
30th birthday, I started being comfortable in my skin. 40th, I felt I had figured life out. 50th birthday, wow, the world is my playground.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, and there's certain things you've achieved that have allowed you to perhaps not be so, I don't want to say aggressive, because I can't imagine, but like, determined and driven. But now it's more of a pleasure to be doing what you're doing.
I love it, yes.
You will be an inspiration for a lot of aspirational songwriters.
Thank you.
What advice would you give to someone with the environment as it is now? And that could be someone having a pivot in life, someone that's always had a passion for it but has locked it up, hasn't had time for it, hasn't made time for it. Or they could be a youngster that wants to come into that as a career.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Be authentic, don't copy. Try to find out why you are making music and express that in your music. The love you feel for the music, or if it gives you a release, an emotional release, if it makes you want to scream and you want to do punk rock, do that. Like, just be authentic to yourself, be your true self, because there are so many copies around and everything exists already but you. So whatever you have to offer, make that your music.
And do you have a favorite genre? So that you've been really quite diverse. But if you were going to pick an absolute sort of favorite kind of type of song that you write, what is that? What does it look like?
At the moment, and it's strange now, listening to 16 Piano Diaries songs back to back, I feel this is really me. I love the piano, I love the storytelling. I love great voices. I love singers that have a recognizable voice and have emotion in their voice. I just feel so much for that. So Piano Diaries, that's very simplified piano. I have a Bösendorfer piano that we spend a lot of time with to give it a lot of sustain and dynamic and emotion. I play very minimalist on it. Pop songs, I still like pop songs. And with a vocalist that I love and little string arrangement around it towards the end, the orchestration with real strings. That's the concept. And I feel that's probably the essence of me. I still like dance as well.
Yeah, of course. No, I get that. So do I. I've got an interesting question for you, and it's probably something that we can end on. Mental health.
Yes.
Man-to-man talking.
Yes.
Wouldn't have done it in a way of being vulnerable to be strong, probably 15, 20 years ago.
Yes.
But that's always been conveyed through songs.
Yes.
So it's an outpouring, but not necessarily a conversation.
Yes.
How important do you think a number of songs and songwriting continues to be to show emotions when people haven't necessarily had a conversation?
Yes.
And shared it in that chat.
So
but
important.
Put it into a song, and then I know that so many of the songs you've written and that we all enjoy come from heartache, from broken hearts, from trauma, tragedy. Yes. But we wouldn't have the music and the songs if it hadn't happened.
Yeah.
There's an irony there.
It's important to know you're not alone. Your struggle, other people may have a similar struggle. And sometimes a song about struggle can, like Skyscraper that I did with Demi Lovato, is a song about overcoming struggle. And she's still struggling. And it has helped so many people with mental health problems. Or Who You Are, a song I wrote with Jessie J, is a song that is empowering and uplifting in a way of be true to who you are and look yourself in the mirror and love yourself and don't compare yourself with everyone else out there. Being authentic to yourself, but also loneliness is a big one. So look for communities, go out, talk to people, find events. SoFar is doing amazing events in London where you can just show up and it feels like a living room of like-minded people. And
like a tribe.
Yes, like a tribe.
Love that.
Find your tribe, and not on the internet, find them in real life. Go out, connect, talk to strangers is a big one. Speak to at least one stranger a day. Someone you don't know, say, you look great. Hi, how are you? Did you have a good day? Start a conversation. It feels great.
I love it. Well, there's so much in what you just said that it resonates. And we didn't know each other before today. And I feel like you're in my tribe now. It's just like it's a pleasure getting to know you and talk. I wish we had longer, but I'd love to very much stay in touch. And thank you. I would love that. Toby, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.